Welcome. You're listening to Project After Architecture, a podcast dedicated to shed light on the experiences and perspectives of architecture graduates. Today we're in conversation with Ojasvika Sahu, who graduated in the year 2021 from Sir J.J. College of Architecture and followed her calling that led to the development of an efficient work management tool and mobile application. Hey Ojasvika, we're very happy that you joined us for this discussion today. Let's dive right in.
Yeah.
So, first question being, what were your immediate thoughts and feelings or plans after graduation? Was there any feeling of uncertainty or had you planned it all out?
Um, okay. So I think luckily or rather unluckily, for me, COVID was happening during my last year. So things changed a bit. But I think only for the better. I could focus a lot on my studies, on my thesis. I did not spend a lot of time traveling, which is otherwise 3 hours a day. And I could do a lot of research about what I wanted to do ahead. Which made me realize that the only good thing that can happen to my life right now is that I get out of college as soon as possible. And I don't mean that I hated my college or anything. I loved it. Um, but I could see the competitive world outside and the way things were changing. And I felt that architecture might not be the most conducive profession for the way I was imagining myself to be in the future. I mean, how I wanted to be in the future. It was not very conducive to that. So I decided that, I want to remain at the intersection of art, design, and add more of tech to that. So, I mean, for me, once I finished my internship in fourth year, I had joined another firm which was run by our super seniors, and I joined them as intern. And after that, even during my thesis was happening, I was sort of interning with them. And then I graduated, and I sort of just joined them very quickly. And along with that, an opportunity came where I could work on a product. So that is what I'm doing right now, and it's been 2 years, I think, and it's been a lot of fun. So I've been doing I would say two full-time jobs in a way, because I have architecture as well. Architecture is happening. It's a good financial source. Not a lot of freshers can say that, to be honest. But it is going pretty well for me. And I have been financially supporting myself with architecture, but I'm mainly focused on the startup that I'm working on, and it's a product startup called Shram. So that is sort of what I'm working on right now. So yes, when I graduated, I won't say that there was uncertainty. I was certain of things I did not want to do, which I think is equally important in knowing what you want to do ahead. So because I knew that, I won't say that I was scared of graduating. I was elated at the idea of graduating, and I sort of knew also what the opportunities, the best I can do at the present in that moment. So, and I did that. And yeah, Shram came along the way. So things have been, I would say I'm much more happier than I was in college in terms of, my academics and the professional part of it. So I enjoy professional life more than I enjoyed my college life. Just speaking plainly in terms of, learning and everything. I mean, it's not as if you stop learning after you become a professional. Even now, I would say that learning, I feel, is better even now, because I get to interact with so many different people who are doing so many different things. College was not the same. College was very monotonous. So yeah, I mean, sorry, to get back to the question, yes, I was not very uncertain because I knew what I did not want to do, which was continue and do my master's in architecture, or continue in architecture, basically. Yeah.
That makes sense. You also mentioned that when you were exploring, you did not find the architecture environment quite conducive. Would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, sure. I would say that I feel the way, so I had a super senior I was working with, uh, who I am still working with, and he he was a very good example of a window to what architectural industry was. And my suspicions about the industry, which it took me a while, it took me a year to completely sort of get rid of the idea that I'm going to become an architect. It After I graduated, I mean. So my suspicions were confirmed once I also joined JJ Group, the WhatsApp group that was created, and I could see the way professionals were interacting with each other. I could learn quite a bit. I mean, the way the professionals were interacting with each other, it just made me realize that there are a lot of big loopholes that are out of my control as a fresher, and because of which I am going to be crushed. As a fresher, I'll be exploited. I won't be paid enough money. I will be working on projects, probably projects that are my passion projects. Let's say that I really enjoyed doing landscape architecture. I love designing parks for elderly people. Let's say that's my passion. Even if I'm doing that job, there's another aspect of myself, which is my self-esteem, which won't be satisfied, because even though I'm working on something really nice and I enjoy, I'm not getting paid enough for it. The environmental conditions are not right for it. And there are very few places where I would say that that a fresher would find a good culture, because that concept does not exist right now. Having a good culture, a good office culture, does not exist in architecture. And like I was saying, my suspicions were confirmed when when I saw people interacting, professionals interacting with each other. So I think I'm pretty sure this is very common, and most people you're going to speak with are going to say the same thing about architectural profession. So yeah, that was it. And especially in India, it's quite horrible, to be honest. Yeah. So they haven't, and I think a large part of it is because architects, they're stuck in a time where, and they're sort of stuck in time, and they're not jumping to tech. They're not embracing it as much as they should be. And that's probably because of construction industry as well, which is a very highly unpredictable, a lot of, there's a lot of delay in that particular industry. Things are very slow. So because of which architects, I think, even though they are very creative, passionate individuals, they have been crushed by that kind of industry. And I think we see the effect of it every day. I think also one important thing that contributed to me becoming not an architect was my experience with contractors. So even though I worked for second homes in Khandala for all the other HNIs, I had a really horrible experience working with contractors, because I realized that my vision, my passion project is going to go into the hands of somebody who probably does not understand what it really means to build a good house. So there were so many factors that were out of my control. I mean, I had to become like a really huge architect to be able to command that amount of I would say that respect and that sort of strictness from the contractors. I was just not getting it because my partner and I, we are very young, so it's very tough often for us to convince the contractor to be able to execute our vision in the perfect way possible. And we have high standards, because of which everybody suffers in the project, especially the architects. Because even now, if we go to a project of ours today, all we see are the mistakes that happened because of the contractor. We can't enjoy the space, even though most people, the clients, they won't see it, but we will see it. And it's like a curse, you can't enjoy that space because of it. So because I felt that there were so many things out of my control, I felt that it is going to take me a lot of time to achieve results. And I'm not willing to put in that amount of time. I'm young right now. I have nothing to lose. If I want to do something and I want to make it scalable, I want it to have a lasting impact, then I need to find where I can do that. And it's not an architecture. So yeah.
Now that you've talked about the downside of the existing mainstream architecture that we know currently, how does it feel like working at Shram? What kind of environment is set up at Shram? How is it different from mainstream architecture?
I mean, there is no comparison. So I'll tell you a bit about my team. My team is two co-founders, me and my co-founder. Along with us are so we have worked with many people in the past. We had a CTO, a chief technical officer, with us who was working with us, but things didn't pan out. He couldn't comply with the vision we had, and he could not give us the time because he also had a full-time job. So that sort of then we had to drop the idea, and then we got back to it when we found somebody. He was from IIT Dharwad. He was doing really well. He joined the team, and then things started developing. We were working on a mobile application around a year ago. So that happened, and then we had a couple of more people. My cousin was working with us, who was also an engineer. So things happened slowly and steadily. We built a team. A lot of people left us, a lot of people joined us. But I think in the start of this year, we finally had our stable team. So we are a team of 6 people. Apart from the two of us, there are 3 engineers who are working with us. We have 1 intern and one advisor, I would say, who's working with us. We have raised some friends and family funds to be able to support ourselves, because we are still at the stage where we're developing the product and still getting user feedback. So we need funds to sustain ourselves, keep the food in our mouth, sort of a situation. So in fact, Jay and I, who's the co-founder, we have not drawn salaries in the last 5-6 months, just because we the idea is that we know we have to ensure that our team has enough amount of motivation to work on this. I mean, the thing is that the way we've developed the team, to them the motivation won't be money. Partly it is money, but it is not completely money. I mean, they are so passionate about what we're building that they will work for us for free when the time comes when we don't have funds, if that ever happens. So I think this particular aspect of this engineering field and technical product field and startup culture, that in a lot of places it is exploitative. They have an unpaid interns and all. I mean, there are exploitative examples of tech startups as well, but the startup that we have managed to curate and the team we have managed to build, just to give you an example, just a while before I joined this call, we were all together playing Pokemon Unite, which is a game on, I think you can play on your mobiles. The idea is that we all come together, sit, discuss, and once our discussion is done, we'll be like, let's play the game. And everybody can join the meeting at any point in the day, and Jay and I, we are available for them. So this kind of culture does not exist in architecture, because, like I said, you're dependent on so many other factors to make your thing a success. यहाँ पे वैसा नहीं है. We know we are building a product. It's but just much more predictable, and you enjoy working with the people around you. The results are much faster. Whatever I am designing is going to get executed in a couple of days, sometimes a couple of hours. I mean, there are so many things that I have learned from architecture that I'm applying to design here. But that's beside the point. So what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people in architecture, they miss out on the fact that if you want to build a good business, and architects don't think in business perspective, if you want to build a good business, if you want to build a good service, you need a good team. And that is something that is developed, and the culture of a company starts from day one of the company. It can't be brought from thin air 10 years down the line, after you have that hire and fire method for your employees for 10 years, and now you decide I want to be better at this, and you hire HR or somebody. That's not going to happen. Culture is built from day one, and we have ensured that in Shram. I mean, we have that culture where we all come together. We are giving extra hours. We are working 16 hours a day, but that's all right, because what we're achieving at the end of the day, we are just more content with things. So I think that kind of culture needs to exist, and that just does not exist in architecture, because it's a very transactional sort of a relationship that most people have in architectural workplaces. And you can't have a transactional relationship and at the same time be building and doing good things. So, I mean, might work in some cases, but that probably won't be the best product. So we have ensured that in our, I would say, culture. So, I mean, I'm sure people you'll be speaking with who are doing probably product management or UI UX jobs would have something else to say. They might say that, they have long working hours or something. I have long working hours too, but I have chosen those long working hours. I want those long working hours so that I can make things successful for me at Shram. So because this is a very founder driven perspective, I'm not sure people who are employees, they'll have very different perspective, but yeah, huge difference. I'm happier this way. I sleep better. My primary motivation is not fear of getting scolded by somebody. My primary motivation to work well is some amount of fear, some amount of anxiety that I'm going to fail at what I'm doing, which is two very different things. So yeah, I mean, that's how very different in terms of how the culture is and the work culture is.
Right. You very rightly pointed out that in architecture it is very transactional, the culture, and we are not prepared to handle things like setting up a company or starting a business from scratch. And there's no way that our current academia or curricula uh, prepares us in any way to have.
Yeah, so I have a very good answer to that. I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to ask, that, currently, can we do something in the academics? The thing is that academics by its very nature won't teach you soft skills like being able to convince clients or converting leads. It's not going to teach you that. And even engineers who are found in most of the product related fields I'm talking about, like Swiggy, Zomato, people who started those companies, they were all engineers. Um, they were not taught business at their engineering or in their academic time. They learned it, and they learned it because people around them were building businesses. Their fellow mates were building businesses, and they were doing it since they were in second year. They were doing internships at different product management companies. I mean, वो electronics का course लेके बैठा हुआ है, but वो जाके product management की कोई internship कर रहा है. They had that in them that they have to do internships to learn those soft skills, to really be able to change, face the professional world. And that kind of concept does not exist in architecture. Architecture is all about professional services and doing this and that, and you have to be an architect, you have to be like the Dalai Lama. But that is how engineering field is very different than architecture, and probably why architectural field will become obsolete very soon if this is not tackled. I mean, architecture is one such field. I mean, to be honest, people compare us to accountants and lawyers and doctors. They are very different fields compared to architecture. Architecture stands in the intersection of arts and designs. It's not the same thing. It's a highly creative process. I'm not saying those other professions don't require creativity, but in this case, it requires a lot of collaboration. And when it requires a lot of collaboration from different fields, you need to be out there in the industry to be able to learn the works, to be able to understand to get the experience. I mean, there's a reason why still the best architects in the country are 35, 36 plus people, because they are getting that experience. And probably it's true because construction, like I said, it's a very slow activity. So you get a lot, it takes you a lot of time to achieve some milestones to be able to call yourself a good architect. But yes, I would say product by its very nature is very fast. So it's very easy to reach a certain stage, and probably why you will notice a lot of architects shifting fields and going into that. Yeah. So I would say that is where architecture lacks a lot, especially the academia. There's no push into the professional world at a very early stage. So I think at that point, the students, they don't develop their soft skills, because I'm pretty sure some of the graduates from your college, like from my batch, they're doing pretty well even business wise, and that's probably because they come from business families. It's probably because they have people who have taught them about those things. But that's not the case for a lot of other people who have always been into books. To start your own architectural practice, you need to learn a lot of street smart stuff, which of course can't be taught in academics, but the academia needs to allow that space for people to be able to pursue alternate internships, for example. And I think that is where architectural pedagogy lacks big time, because everybody's busy making submissions all the time. And most of the submissions are absolute garbage. They're not going to, help the students in any way. And which is a huge problem. You're spending a lot of time doing the wrong things. So some of the smart folks in your college must have, just finished off submissions. They don't give a shit about how much marks they get and all, but they're doing pretty well, even outside of practice, like even after graduating. So yeah, I would say marks are also a very bad indicator of how good an architect a person is. So it's just, I would say that architecture, academia it's failing big time, big time. It's not keeping up with the times. I mean, I think the future is of enterprises, and architects are not enterprising, and they're not even taught to be enterprising. Of course, it can't be taught, but you at least people can be pushed into becoming more enterprising. Architects are not taught that. So that's my 2 cents on this.
Right. So do you have any suggestions on the kind of tweaks that the current syllabi or certain alterations that the pedagogy could incorporate to have a more wider and a broader approach to architecture as a multidisciplinary thought more than just a streamlined practice?
So yeah, like I think I dropped the hints in my previous answer. One, I think internships need to be included in this. There's no other way about it. Also, I think that a lot of courses that are taught in college can just be dropped. It's not going to help the person just do better at their jobs. Things like MD or WD, first of all, it shouldn't be okay, WD aside, MD, if that is going to take an entire semester, if it's going to take 6 hours every week of a student, I think it should just be compressed into a week elective. That's how much it should be. If you have to really teach, I mean, MD is just an example. There are many more other such examples where the courses can just be compressed into weekly exercises. You should see how NID is doing a pretty decent job when it comes to syllabus, because I have spoken to a lot of designers and product designers from there. We had an intern who was working with us. So he told us about how they have weekly or like a monthly course that they have to complete, and once the course is completed, they have a jury at the end of it, and their final jury is like a collection of all the different courses, the weekly courses, the monthly courses that they have done. That's their final jury. It's not something that you're working on for what 3-4 months in a go, and then you have 10 other things. Because the truth is, multitasking, not that some people are good at multitasking and some people are not. Multitasking is something that is going to naturally make the person who's doing multiple things not very good at one thing. So it should be like that course should be very weekly. It should keep changing so that it keeps students more engaged. And I think that people should focus on one thing at a time, because that's how designers work. Designers can't be designing 10 things at a time. They design at one thing in one go. That is how things should be, I feel, in architecture. So two things. One would be allowing the academic space to pursue internships. Second would be making a course like every semester should have multiple courses. I think that is how it should be, so that students can focus on one important thing in one go. And then I would say that the electives that we have, that we usually have, it should not be limited to just arts and architecture related thing. I mean, it should be about a lot of other things. Like, it could be about different technologies. It could be about economics. It could be about business presentation. I mean, the very idea of electives is that you do something beyond your sphere, right? So I think that is how it should be. Calligraphy and all, I mean, already you have a lot of students who are good at arts and architecture. So yeah, that should be one thing. I think these three things I can think of right now.
Right. When you talk about electives, it is still in a classroom environment. Internship is when you get out of the classroom and you get a hands-on experience and deal with real-time work environments. Like right now, it is mandatory for us to have an internship in an architectural firm or an interior firm. Do you think it would have helped if we, branched out to other fields? Like, for example, business. What if we could get the basics of setting up a company or a business while interning with a startup firm?
I mean, I think engineering field has allowed for that, where you can just pursue a technical engineering degree. Like, if you but I think if you are doing something like overarching course, agar aapka architecture hai, then I think the main internship period that you need to have needs to be slightly about architecture. Because it makes sense. But that's the main course that you're taking up. Because I know that people who have taken geological sciences and IITs and all, they have to work with petroleum companies in their major internship period. But what I'm talking about is that, the remaining period, I'm not talking about the main academic internship. I'm talking about the remaining time that you have on your hands, post 3, the time you have after your college lectures end. I'm talking about that time. Doing part-time internships, maybe doing it from home, they help at that time, at that point of time. And there needs to be a credit system where students can ask for extra credits to being after doing such things. So yeah, that is what I really mean. I don't think the main internship period needs to change. If you're pursuing an architectural degree, you need to do something that is in architecture related fields. But when I meant that internship needs to be done is that there needs to be shorter internships, 2 months, 3 months long, in allied fields, and you should be awarded credits for that as well. And I think professors should motivate students to do that, to pursue, look at different fields. Yeah.
Hi, Ojasvika. I just had a question corresponding to what Siddhi said right now. So, as we discussed, that architecture is not limited to particular perception of, okay, I'm going to build buildings after, like, design buildings after I graduate. There is this one particular mindset that is built up before you enroll in architecture, right?
Mhm.
That architecture means to be this particular thing that
Mhm.
corresponds into becoming someone who designs only buildings.
Mhm.
That while researching for after architecture or like having a conversation with a lot of people, we got to know that the global perspective actually is very different, right?
Mhm.
We have been narrowed down to one perception of what the definition of or maybe the extent of architecture is.
Mhm.
And rightly so, in practical field also, we see almost 50% of people, of architects who are graduating, diverging into different fields. So do
Mhm.
you think that as a field, we are over defining what we can be? Can the definition and the extent of what this field means to be also extend?
So I think my personal experience has been a bit different. I've always felt that I chose architecture because it was versatile. I knew about architects who became filmmakers. I knew about architects who were musicians. I knew about architects who became fashion designers. So I always felt that, um, okay, so the reason I chose architecture when I was in ninth, 10th standard was because I wanted to design structures. I used to watch documentaries with my father, mega structures, Nat Geo pe aata tha. And I wanted to become an architect because of that. But then in 11th and 12th, when I also started studying art history, I started studying for other design entrance exams. I realized that because I was reading more about the kind of designers that there are in the world, and I was reading about it a lot. I used to give an hour every day, just learning more about art and learning more about history. And I realized that architecture is actually a really versatile field. So I think that because that was my perception, I don't exactly feel that we have overdefined ourselves. I mean, so it's not a, I would say, not a lagging indicator that 50% of the architects are doing something else. I think I embrace that because it's something that I at least sort of recognized even before joining architecture, that, it's going to be versatile. I might not end up doing architecture, but I wasn't very sure. That probably why I'm also not pursuing masters. I'm doing something else because I knew that from the start. I'm doing this because my parents will be happier. I will or be in an allied field where it's arts and sciences overall. But then I also knew it's very versatile. I have more options once I graduate. So that was my case. Not very sure what others had in their minds when they joined architecture. Yeah.
So you said that, like, as you said, that architecture is a versatile field, which is why people go into many other options.
Yeah.
So do you think that architecture, the course itself, does teach you many things that help diversify so easily, unlike other
Absolutely.
courses?
Absolutely. I still remember I was speaking with Mishra sir one day, and he said that architecture is like mother of art. Um, because it is right at the intersection of art, design, and also tech. Um, Art will be about beautiful feelings, emotions. Design would be about usability, and technology would be the ability to execute it. And I think I resonate with that a lot. So I would say that the way I was taught my course, the interactions I had with my mentors, it was about developing. It was about developing a basic understanding of design. I think that is the strongest thing I've learned from my course in architecture. Being able to apply that to a physical object, that is something I learned from architecture. So fundamentally, I've learned about design from architecture. I would say that, and that's where architecture has actually helped me. So yeah, I would say that it has fundamentally helped me quite a bit. Just to so I would give you an example. In UI UX, I am designing a product. We're building a product. We're a B2B SaaS company. By that I mean we are building a software for other businesses, which they can subscribe and give us a monthly subscription fee for us to give basically like AutoCAD, but with a monthly subscription. But the product that we have built is something that allows people to work very nicely with each other. It's a work management tool. And we also help people assess how well they have been doing, also have performance management capabilities in it. So that is what we are building. But to be able to build a complicated software as that, and also ensure that it has good aesthetic standards, that it looks good, every interaction, every button click, to be able to do all of that requires a fundamental understanding of what modules are, of what components are, of understanding design hierarchy, understanding what a design system is. And all of that is highly analytical, logic driven. Of course, it is aesthetic. I mean, you develop a taste when you go through architecture, but you also learn a lot of logical, analytical considerations you need to make so that something you build can be scaled to higher levels. So I think that is something that I really picked up from architecture. Even my thesis was about modularity. So I think that is something I've picked from architecture. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
But yeah, so what does the road ahead look like to you after?
So I want to build a business, which is why I am a co-founder, and I'm not just a design person in whatever I'm doing right now. Because building business and being enterprising requires a lot of different kind of learning, and it's a layer above just. So I'm a designer, of course. I'm building a very beautiful product, but at the same time, I have to think about a lot about finances and business consideration. How's the product going to grow? Are users liking it or not? Are they going to pay for it or not? How is the market positioning? Is the market positioning conducive? Does it make the product sound very exciting? So so right now, because I'm also in that business aspect, I think I'm trying to develop a kind of acumen where I can grow businesses as well, from the baseline capabilities I have, which is to make something look good. So I would say that I'm in a business that wants to make things beautiful and everyday experiences look beautiful for people. So that is how the road, I would say, in very specific milestones, is that I want to build a profitable company. I am going to by the time I'm 30, I hope I can build a very profitable company. I might take more time, but I want to be able to do that. And once I'm done with that, and post that, I want to be able to get back to architecture and get into actually be able to execute my thesis, which was on modularity and what the future of housing is. Yeah, so because I think an architect's perspective to how cities should be like is very important at this point. And yeah, that's why.
That's great. And any final words for any student or graduate who wants to follow in the same steps as yours? Any advice or suggestion?
I would say please do internships. It's very important that you learn auxiliary things apart from the architectural bit that you're learning. Internships help a lot. Work on startups, build a startup, do freelancing, and speak to a lot of people. Do a lot of networking. These are some general things, and you can get in touch with me. I'm available more. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out, whoever it is that is going to hear this. So yeah, get in touch with people maybe.
And that is all for our chat today. If you enjoyed this conversation, do subscribe to us on Spotify and follow on Instagram for updates. Thank you for listening.